Hi, I'm Don Carswell, and welcome to this week's edition of the Trinity Crusaders Football Coaches Show with Coach Jimmy Fields. Big smiles all around the campus today. One of the biggest wins in recent memory on Saturday night, a Saturday night game. We played two games last week. Saturday night, the Crusaders pulled out a come from behind 16-10 overtime win against the Bullock Gators, who were at the time #1 by themselves in the region. Great win on Saturday night, Coach.
Oh, big win, big region win for our football program. Entire school, was there. A lot of excitement, at the Cleve this past Saturday night, and just so proud of our young men. I overcame a lot of adversity going into the game with a lot of injuries, but as folks who were there saw, we, had some injuries that occurred during the game in the first half, but overcame, and like you said, pulled out a big win.
Well, it was a big win. The game we fought throughout. We trailed for most of the game, scored late, and then scored in overtime and held. We had actually 3 goal line stands basically during the game. I know you're proud of that defense, as decimated as it's been by injury.
That's right. It starts with defense, and that's something, the Trinity, when we say Trinity football, it begins with hitting, it begins with defense. And, our kids have bought into that, and it's their football team, and they take a lot of pride in that, Don. And it was well evident those who saw the ball game Saturday night. Our success began with defense.
Well, it was a big win, and it sets up a huge game Friday night over in Waynesboro against Edmund Burke, which is in essence a loser goes home type game.
That's right. Playoffs literally begin this Friday night in Waynesboro. We've got a good region win under our belt, beating a very good Bullock team. However, the loser of this game, unfortunately, will not be included in the playoffs. So Burke, has a lot to play for. It's senior night there in Waynesboro. So we have another tough challenge ahead of us going on the road for a tough region game.
And what happens when we win? We like to talk positive on this show. When we win Friday night, where will that put us as far as the region standings?
There's several scenarios, Don. A lot of it depends on what happens with Bullock playing Pinewood. They play in Statesboro Friday night, the same time we'll be playing. So I'm sure a lot of our Trinity fans will be watching that game as well, or listening for results from that game. A couple of scenarios: if Bullock were to win, and when we win, like you say, we're thinking positively, that would give us a #4 seed. If Pinewood wins against Bullock, then that gives us a 3 seed, a little bit better seed in the playoffs. So we just, that's out of our hands. What is in our hands is the next 4 quarters of region play at Waynesboro against a very, going to be a very inspired, tough Edmund Burke team.
They're basically in the same place we were a year ago, where we could win 1 game and get in the playoffs, and we were able to do that last year, and I'm sure they're remembering it this year.
Yeah, that's, I know that they're going to be ready. Coach Phillips serving over there right now as the coach, watching them on film. He's done a great job filling in for them this season, playing hard, inspired football, and I know, I went and watched these kids during our open week play this Bullock team, and they played very hard. They got some talent, in some key positions. So, I'll tell you what, Region 2, from top to bottom, Frederica, Pinewood, Bullock, Edmund Burke, it's a very tough region from top to bottom. There are no gimmies. And again, Don, like you and I talked off there, we've got our work cut out this weekend.
Well, we'll come back in just a second to look at the highlights from the first half of the big win on Saturday night here at the Cleve. We'll be right back.
It's time to tackle our great savings on all of our hardwood flooring. We've got a great lineup of laminates, ceramics, and carpet.
So roll into Bailey's Custom Flooring.
Don't forget, we also have vinyl and carpet in stock.
Okay, Coach, it was senior night on Saturday night, and I believe you won the toss again and elected to defer. It didn't look like a great decision at first, but it all works out in the end. But tell us a little bit about that first half. I know Bullock came out fired up that first drive.
Yeah, you sometimes second guess yourself. Actually, we did something different, Don, in that we deferred. Usually we, thus far in the season, we've taken the ball. But our coaching staff really wanted to challenge our football team and, let them know the whole week, hey, going into Bullock, Saturday night game, we're going to defer. We're going to play defense. Our defense has been playing well, and they put together a drive. There were times along that drive that we would bow up and make stops, but they continued to make first downs, get inside the red zone, and I tell you, on 4th and goal, that Matt Coleman hit down there on the goal line along with Jackson Black and Chase Autry and others there, Gabe Meadows collecting around the pile. That set the tone for the rest of the night, and very proud, and that sent a message, I believe, not so much to Bullock but to our team, that we're there to play.
Unfortunately, on that play, Matt Coleman did go out, and he's been an integral part as we've had the attrition at running back. He had become more and more important on offense as well as being one of your leaders on defense. So you guys had to pull together once again, a little bit tighter circle.
Yeah, sophomore Grant Grosh, really stepped up and came in there at linebacker, and he's playing offense as well. Later on in the first quarter or in the first half, junior Will Clardy goes out, and another junior, Garrett Dixon, steps up. So our kids have the philosophy next man up, and they talked about that literally at halftime, and very proud of our entire team and kids stepping up. And it wasn't about individual players. It was about that Trinity pride, and they displayed that in the first half. And big first half for us, was able to end with a field goal there right before halftime, giving us some momentum going into halftime.
Well, I know the first half we were on our heels a lot of the half, early part of the half with poor field position. But as we went along, the special teams really did a good job. And Barry and I were watching, and it seemed like almost every series started right around the 35, 36, 37-yard line. And it helps to be dealing with a 65-yard field instead of an 85 or 90-yard field.
That's right. Colin Crozier, Whit Mason, our punter and place kicker, did a good job. The one touchdown that Bullock did get, it was 3rd and 20. We're in obviously a little bit of a looser defensive scheme, and we just had some kids get out of position. Very frustrating at that point in time. As frustrated as you are, there was still a sense of something that our kids were they didn't drop their head. I think as much as Coach Fields was frustrated, our kids they continued to play hard against, and that's, to me, that's a mark of a quality football team, to where 3rd and 20, you're kidding me, and not only they get the first, but the guy scores, but they didn't hang their head. Our viewers saw, folks who were there saw them came right back and fight, and was our offense put together a drive and put 3 points on the board before we went into halftime.
And that was a big drive, and it was a momentum swing because we knew we were getting the ball to start the second half. And so we went to half with a 7-3 Bullock lead, but it was a well played and tightly played first half, and I know you had to feel good going into halftime. And we'll come back in just a second and look at those second half highlights.
Dr. Price and Dr. Peters at Dublin Orthopedic and Rehabilitation have been a part of our community for many years and very proud to support high school football. We are proud of our children and their commitment. We share that same commitment when it comes to our patients. You'll always be a winner at Dublin Orthopedic. No referral ever needed. Just call us today at 272-3022. Whether it's a sports injury, carpal tunnel, stress fracture, ankle sprain, or any other injury, don't waste your time or money going to the ER, urgent care, or hospital. Come straight to the specialist, Dr. Price and Dr. Peters at Dublin Orthopedic and Rehabilitation, 2406 Bellevue Road in Dublin.
As Coach corrected me, I misspoke a while ago, and we were down 10-3, but it didn't really feel like a 7-3 game.
It did. Again, our kids are playing well. Obviously we only got a field goal up to this point, but our offense had possessed the ball. As stats indicated at the end of the night, we won again the time of possession. Our drives were stalling out, but we were moving the ball. And like you said earlier, we had some good defensive stands, and we did feel good at this time. However, like we mentioned earlier, we had some injuries. We were concerned there, but our kids stepped up. Those backups and other kids stepped up as we moved kids around, and so our kids were excited about going out for the third quarter.
And we came out in the third quarter, and it was almost like a mirror image of the first half because we drove it down, possessed the ball for right at 6 minutes, a long drive, one of the longest drives of the year, and but didn't come away with anything there. But it was like the tone was set for the half right there, though.
Yep, what we call in the red zone, turning the ball over, frustrating. Our fans will remember just Monday night over in Pinewood, we had 2 trips inside the red zone that resulted in not points but turnovers, whether it be turnover on downs. And, it seemed like, frustration, but frustration didn't set in. Our kids continue to persevere. Our kids continue to play hard. And when it came down in the fourth quarter, you want to give yourselves a chance to win by just persevering. And so a lot of leadership out there, not just from our 6 seniors, but from every kid on that football field, as well as our kids on the sideline. There was just a different sense Saturday night at the Cleve.
Well, it's disappointing and pulls at your heartstrings to look down there and see 9 or 10 kids that can't play, but it's got to be exciting to you as a coach to see them engaged in the game as they were in the game. And I know Gideon was up in the press box, and they're locked in.
They are. Again, team, instead of poking their lip out and, well, I can't play, we got kids over there, high school football players, helping our manager, helping Ross, whether it be get Gatorade, get this, get that. It's just, whatever your role is to help the football team, that unselfishness. And a lot of proud coaches of our entire team.
Well, I know 3rd and long was the story of the game. They scored their first touchdown on 3rd and long. And tell us about that big 3rd and long pass from Whit to Jake.
Yeah, well, it was faking the belly. We're a big belly team, and faked the belly there to Chase, and Jake was able to make a move on the corner, get behind him, and Whit behind good offensive line protection on the play action, and he put it in a place to where Jake had a chance to make a play on the ball. And a young sophomore has done some good things, gotten better and better. And he opened our season with the kickoff return. Right. Seemed like 2 or 3 months ago. He continues to develop as well as a lot of our other players. But yeah, that was, able to, get that touchdown. Colin and the extra point team gets the extra point. So we're all tied here late in the fourth quarter, and that's what you want, a chance to win the game.
And that it was a huge crowd, one of the biggest crowds and probably the loudest crowd all year at Cleve Warnock Stadium. That brought them to their feet. Barry was helping call the game for the game of the week, and it brought him to his feet, let me tell you. And it's exciting to see those kids and get their parents to get excited and watch them playing and make those big plays like that. One thing, tell us this, Coach. You've had to adjust your playbook a little bit with the loss of different players. And one of the plays that ended up working was sort of a trail play by Whit. He ran the ball a little bit more than he has the past few games.
He has, in some of these plays, I'll just be dead level honest, were busted plays. Whether it be, number one, by myself, as a coach, having kids in different positions or, kids sometimes getting confused. But it all boils down not so much to the X's and O's, but those Jimmys and Joes, and literally making some plays. I can think of one instance when Jack had a big catch. I'm over there thinking in my mind, what are they doing? What are they doing? Oh, great.
Yep.
Good job. And that happened several times where kids, just made plays. It may not have been the correct route, the correct formation, but when the ball is snapped, go make a play. And that happened a couple of times. But you're right in that, Whit has been able to capitalize a little bit by establishing the fullback and then him trailing, like you said, the play there, faking it and keeping it around the end. or in the C gap. That's been a good play for us, especially Friday night there in the fourth quarter.
And I know one kid that didn't get a lot of mention because he didn't run for a bunch of yards. He didn't have a whole bunch of tackles, but he had some big plays. I know with everyone out, I believe Chase probably played about 90% of the plays from scrimmage. Chase Autry, he had a phenomenal game.
He did. You know, defensively, I think he finished with something like 10 solo tackles, a couple of assists, 2 tackles for loss. You know, he runs the football with authority, big blocker. I reckon he would, if we got the CDLs, he'd drive the bus for us. I mean, he does it all. So, and there's a lot of kids doing that for us, you know, playing both sides of the football, doing a lot for us. But, you know, he represents our entire team, and very proud of Chase.
We'll be right back to watch those highlights from the last couple of minutes of regulation and overtime and wrap up this week.
Back to back. At Dublin Nissan, we've been honored 2 years running with Nissan's Award of Excellence.
Thank you.
Thank you. Right now, save up to $5,000 off an Altima or Rogue. Save even more with up to $7,500 off a Maxima or Murano. Dublin Nissan has the winning team. From parts and service to sales and finance, Dublin Nissan is truly the only dealer you will ever need.
We had one of the most exciting endings in a few years on Saturday night, and in a game of that magnitude probably in 7, 8, 9, 10 years. Tell us a little bit about those last 2 or 3 minutes. I know y'all were anxious on trying to get us to overtime.
Well, you know, big play stoppers. You know, they try a field goal there, you know, late in the ball game. They mishandled the snap. It looked like initially that they may run it in for a score, but Gabe Meadows, you know, junior Gabe Meadows, who had a phenomenal night playing defense and offense, came up with a big stop there. You know, big play, tackled in the open field. We get the ball, okay. Unfortunately, you know, we're about on the 2-yard line, and there's still about a minute to go in the ball game. So, you know, that's where you got to, you know, depending on your kids, you got to make plays. And in this instance, what we needed to do was Bullock had 1 timeout. Of course, they're going to use their timeout. We couldn't take a knee, Don, because that would have been a safety.
Right.
We needed an offensive line push. We didn't want to risk the handoff. So we basically ran quarterback sneak 3 times in a row, making them use their timeout. And again, you know, Jackson Brack, you know, that's when you're glad not only you have a senior, but you have a seasoned veteran up there who just anchors that offensive line. So I think some teams would have been at a disadvantage. But, you know, although we might have been at a disadvantaged field position, I think having Jackson Brack there gave us an advantage. We just run quarterback sneak, and Whit was protected. We run out the clock and go to overtime.
Was that probably one of the longest minutes in your coaching career between the a couple of penalties, that timeout, and the confusion with the officials? It seemed to go on for an infinity.
Yeah, it was. It seemed like, you know, we couldn't get there, but I know there was a penalty in there, a controversial penalty in there that seemed like, okay, we might end up having to punt. But you know, our kids remained steady.
Right.
You know, they didn't panic. They didn't, you know, react in frustration. They just did what they had to. And at the end of the day, you know, that's what wins games.
Well, we've won a lot of coin tosses this year. I think we've won more than we've lost. And overtime, you always want to win the toss. And we lost the toss. And I think most coaches will tell you they'd rather know what they got to do than to be the first man with the ball. But we took the ball first, and it was another big 3rd down play.
Yeah. You know, we got, you know, again, you know, I look back and, you know, the play calling, it is kids making plays. You know, I know one sense I mentioned Gabe. Gabe got me out of a bad call. You know, we tried the rocket pass, and Coach Fields getting a little greedy. It wasn't there. It doesn't matter. Gabe, instead of taking a negative play, kind of, you know, helped Coach Fields out a little bit there, and got some yards and didn't take a negative play. We get into the 3rd down situation, and basically we come back to a play that we had tried right before halftime with Jack, and it wasn't quite there. You know, the kids didn't quite make the play, and to come back to the same play, and the offensive line, Whit, Jack executed it, and made a good catch, made a good throw in the corner of the end zone. And I think a catch that a lot of our players, but our fans and community are going to remember for a long time, to give us that go-ahead score there in overtime. Unfortunately, we got up for the extra point, and they get pressure, and there was some question. They had a guy jump over the pile, but hey, Bullock kids,
Yep.
They're playing hard.
That's right.
You think about it, they're number one in the region at that point in time, completely in the driver's seat. So they're playing very hard, inspired football, and they made a play. We didn't make a play, but we're ahead 16-10, and now they have the ball.
And they drove. They got one first down, and then came up on a big play and on that big fourth down play.
Yeah.
And your man, number 11, was out there again.
Well, since it's fresh, actually they didn't make a first down. I've watched so much film recently. It may have seemed eternity
That's
for
right.
our fans.
Yep.
When are they going to get off the field? They took a timeout, prior to the fourth down. It seemed like an eternity. It came down to a 4th and 2. And they ran tall sweep to their left. And, kids made play. The same young man who made the play, Gabe Meadows, made a big tackle out there on the edge. However, it was really, the entire defense pursuing the ball, taking out blockers, whether it be Colin Crozier or Kean Taylor on that side of the football that set Gabe up. And, you see there was some controversy. It looked like there may have been a holding call. Did he get the first down? However, we look at where the linesman's marking the ball, and it wasn't even close. They didn't even have to measure. So we shake it up, and a lot of happy kids, happy tears.
And you had some unsung kids that, with a team like this, you've mentioned everyone's name this year. Everyone's been mentioned a lot. But then you had a couple, a guy like William Gay, who comes up and basically gives his body up. When you're playing against, they're a wishbone team, but they're not a triple option wishbone. They're like running a power T. And someone's got to take that lead blocker out and try to make the tackle. And I know William was out there on that perimeter doing as good a job as he's done all year.
Again, William, 10 solo tackles, right there with Chase. He actually had 3 tackles for losses. And like you said, sacrificing his body. I reckon he gets that. Mark Bowles and Bill Blum will take a lot of credit with wrestling. He brings that mentality and fight to the football field, and William's done that all year. And he had a big night for us on defense and offense.
Well, at the end of the game, they were sort of staggering on each team to shake hands. It was like a big heavyweight fight, and we were able to land that final blow and come up with that great win Saturday night. Coach, which puts us in this position for Friday night. Tell us a little bit about Edmund Burke.
Well, Edmund Burke traditionally is a very hard-nosed football team. Waynesboro, Georgia, when you go there, great facilities, great environment. Friday night high school football, couldn't ask for a better environment. We're going on the road. It's going to be senior night, playoff implications. Coach Phillips there as the interim coach this year, doing a phenomenal job. And it's evident, the film doesn't lie. So watching Burke, whether they're playing against Bullock or the most recently against Frederica, one of the better teams, not just in our region, but in the state, they're moving the football. They're playing very physical, and the other teams will tell you, the other coaches will tell you they're a very physical football team that can move the ball, that can play good on defense. We're going to have to take care of the football. We're going to have to play well defensively. They have moved the chains, Don, against every team they've played. So we've got to play well defensively, set the tone for the night by playing physical, not giving up the big play, and then offensively, don't turn the ball over. And certainly something we need to improve on, red zone points.
Right.
When we get in the red zone, we need to come away with some points. We didn't Monday night twice, and we didn't against Bullock once there with a turnover. And so offense, once we get in the red zone, we got to finish things. The great thing is we certainly finished a great week with a big win over Bullock going into Edmund, but we're not through yet.
Well, the one thing that you have in your hat this year is we went on the road and won 2 games. And anytime you have success on the road, there's something to build on with that. And I know you got to bring it. What do you say to your kids to get them off that mountaintop from Saturday night and get right back to practice, because it's a short week with a Saturday night game?
Well, one thing, today, we're airing this on Monday, and we're going to practice today, to start the week. And this time next week, next Monday, if we don't take care of business, we'll be taking up equipment. If we do take care of business, we'll be right back here filming, getting ready to play the playoffs. So knowing our kids, I expect them to respond. I think our fans do and parents do, Don. I think you'd agree. We're a little concerned about the injuries, but where there's a will, there's a way, and certainly our kids have proved, throughout the year and throughout this season thus far, they have tremendous will. So I believe they're up to the challenge and excited about it.
Well, that'll be 7:30 Friday night in Waynesboro, and we ask all those Trinity fans to make that trip up there. It's a huge game, the end of the regular season with playoff implications. It's an important game, and we need them all out there. Thanks again, and we'll see you next week.